Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well today and welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial shall be the making of this beautiful paper bag short pants. If you are new to this channel, you are welcome. This is Donlarrie and here on this channel I upload sewing tutorials, pattern drafting and DIYs. Consider subscribing guys, and also remember to put on your notification bell so that anytime I upload a new video you will be notified. So guys, let's get started. So to get started, you're going to be needing your basic short pant pattern. I have a tutorial on the channel on how you can achieve this. I'll put the link down in the description box so that you can check it out. So we are going to be modifying this pattern to create the short pants. Once you have your basic short pattern, you can modify it to create any design, and this pattern includes the front and the back, as you can see it. And also we have the band and the pocket. So all these are for the basic short pants, and we are going to be modifying this to create this beautiful design. So this is the fabric that I'll be using. This is an 100% cotton fabric. You can use any fabric of your choice. So the first thing you're going to be doing is to fold your fabric into two, just like I've done here. So I've folded this fabric into two, and as you can see, I've pinned down the front pattern on the folded fabric. So we're going to be starting with the front. So what you're going to be doing is to measure the horizontal measurement you have on your hip length, which is your hip measurement divided by 4. So here I have 10 inches. So whatever you have on your hip measurement, then you come to your waist measurement and then you mark the same. So I'm going to mark 10 inches like this. And remember that we've added half an inch seam allowance to this side. So I will go ahead and add that half an inch to this mark. So this is half an inch. And then I'm going to connect this. So I'll just draw this down to the hip line. Like this. So now as you can see that we have the same thing on the hip line and on the waistline. And also you need to extend the seam allowance here, because we're going to be joining this with the band, and then we are going to be cutting out exactly what we have here. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So we're going to be doing pretty much the same to the back. So this is the back, and I've folded the fabric into two as well, and I've also pinned down the back pattern. So on the front, remember that I marked 10 inches, which is my hip measurement divided by 4. That is what I mark on the waistline. So on the back now, just come to the waistline here, and then you mark the same thing that you have. So I marked 10 inches, and I will also mark 10 inches here. So this is 10 inches. Then half an inch seam allowance, I will mark that like this, and then I'm just going to connect that to the hip line. So this is the hip line, so I will just connect that to the hip line like this, and also extend the waistline. So this is what we're going to be cutting out. So I will go ahead now and cut this out. So I've cut out both the front and the back, and you can see what we have here. So now we're going to be cutting out the pocket and the band. This is optional. You can decide not to put a pocket, but we're going to be cutting out a pocket. And for the basic tutorial, this is the type of pocket that we use. But for this tutorial, we're going to be using a different pocket. So depending on how you want it, you can go ahead and just use this pocket, or you can use the one that I'll be showing you now. And also we're going to be cutting out the band. So for the pocket, like I said earlier, you can use this this that we have for the basic short, but the one we're going to be cutting out now, you're going to be placing another pattern paper or fabric underneath your pattern, and then we're going to trace out exactly what we have from here to this grain line down, depending on how long you want the pocket to be. So I will just make mine a little bit above the tie line, so like this, and then to this side. So this is what I will be tracing out. So once you've traced out what you have here, the next thing we want to do is just to shape this pocket at this side, this curved side. So I will go in by 1.5 inches like this, and then from this curved part you're going to measure 6 or 6.5 inches depending on how wide you want it. So I will mark 6 inches like this. You can also use your hand as a guide, so just place your hand like this, so and use that as a guide. So from this point now I'm going to connect that to this point. So you can see what I have now. And once you have this, the next thing you want to do is just to go ahead and add your seam allowance around this pattern. So I will go ahead and add 1/2 inch seam allowance round this pattern. So I've added the seam allowance to the pocket and I've cut out 2 pieces. So you're going to be cutting out 2 pieces for the pocket. So as you can see, I have 2 pieces here. So to cut out the band, whatever you measured on the hip line, which is the same thing that we measured on the waistline, which is 10 inches in my own case, so that is what you will multiply by 4. So in my own case, I will be having 40 inches, and that 40 inches you're going to be adding 1 inch seam allowance to it, which will make it 41 inches in my own case. So the length of this band now is 41 inches, and we're going to be cutting it on fold at one end. So you're going to be cutting one end on fold. So if I measure the length now, I will have 20.5 inches, and if I open it up from here to here will be 41 inches. So for the width of the band, for the basic short pattern, I use 1.5 inches for the width. Remember, this is the seam allowance here and here. So here now I will make the band 2.5 inches instead of 1.5 inches that I use for the basic short. And then that 2.5 inches we're going to be cutting it twice, which means we're cutting it on fold. So let me just fold this so that you can understand it better. So our waistline will be cut on fold, and then if I mark 2.5 inches now, I will be left with 1/2 inch, and this 1/2 inch is what I will use to join it together with this 1/2 inch on the front and the back pattern. So you're going to be multiplying whatever width you are using. If you are using 3 inches, you will multiply that by 2, because we are cutting it on fold, and you will be cutting out 6 inches plus your seam allowance. You'll be cutting out 7 inches. So here altogether I have 6 inches by 41 inches. And then we're going to be needing belt loop for this short pant. So for the loop, just cut out a rectangular shape fabric, and we're going to be folding it twice, and then we're going to be sewing it on the sewing machine just like this. And also we're going to be cutting out a belt. So this depends on how long you want it. So now that we've cut out everything that we need for this pattern, let's go ahead and assemble it. So what we're going to be doing now is to assemble this pattern, and then we move on to the sewing machine. So this is the front. So on the front, you're going to be joining it together at the crotch area like this, using the seam allowance that you added. Then you stop here, and then we're going to be doing the same thing for the back. So place the right side facing each other, and then you mark the crotch, the seam allowance on the crotch line, which is 1/2 inch, and then we're going to stitch it down like that. So for the front and back, you do that. And then for the pockets, all you need to do for the pockets now is to stitch this slanted part. So you fold it like this, so you can iron that, fold it to the wrong side. So let's say this is the right side, then you want to fold it back with the 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then you're going to stitch this down. So I will go ahead and do that. So I've stitched it together as you can see it. So this is the front, the back, and the pocket. So what you're going to be doing next is to work on the front and the pocket. So you open up the front. For the pocket, I've just ironed the seam allowance on the side, on this straight end, and also on the bottom. So as you can see it, so that will make it very easy for you. Go ahead and iron this side, and the bottom side. So once you've ironed that, we're going to be pinning this down with the front. So this is the front, so you place it like this. And then this is the second one, you also place it like this. And then we're going to pin this down. So just pin it down like this. So if you're making this type of pocket, the next thing you want to do is to go ahead and top stitch the pocket to the front. So you just stitch on it like this. So once you've ironed it, it will make it very easy for you. So go ahead and top stitch it. But if you are using this type of pocket, you can watch my tutorial on how to sew a short pants. You will understand how you can use this type of pocket. So you're going to be stitching this on top of the front, and once you are done top stitching this, then you place the back. You place the back on it like this, like this, and then we're going to stitch it together at the side. So you stitch it down together at the side, you stitch it down together at the other side like this. And then to the band, this is what you're going to be doing next to the band. So for the band, you're going to be closing this open end. So just fold your band into two, and then you close this open end. Remember, we have one folded end, so you're going to be closing this open end on the band. So I'll go ahead and do that. So I'll first of all top stitch the pocket to the front, and after that I'll place the back on it and then sew the two together at the side, and I will show you guys what next. Okay guys, so as you can see it, I've top stitched the pocket, and then after that I went ahead to place the back on the front, and I joined the two together at the side, and this is what we have. So we've closed the side now, and also for the band, this is what we have for the band. So I've joined it together at this open end. So what we're going to be doing now is to turn the band to the right side like this, and once you've turned it to the right side, so this closed end, you want to match it up with the back. So turn the short to the back, and then the closed end, match it together with the back like this. So can you see that? So I will pin this down, and then you're going to pin the band around the short. So let's pin it down round like this. So as you can see it, I've pinned the band around the shorts. So the next thing is just to go ahead and sew it round. So you just sew it round like that. Alright guys, so I've stitched the band around the short as you can see it. So this is what we have, and also for the other hand, I've ironed it. So this is what it will look like once you turn it. So you can see we have a very wide band. So now we're going to be folding this band into two, and then you will need to turn everything to the wrong side. So once you've turned it to the wrong side, so this edge, make sure you iron it. It will make it very easy for you. And then we're going to be folding this end. So you fold it like this, and then I will just pin it down again. So like this, then you turn it round and fold it round. So as you can see it, I've folded the band round and I've pinned it down. So we're going to stitch this round, and then we're going to be leaving like 1 or 2 inches opening at the front or the back, wherever. So this is the front. I'll be leaving the opening at the front. So I will go ahead now and stitch from here now round. So you are not stitching it together. Pick it like this, and then you stitch it round, you top stitch it round like this, and then you're going to stop at this end, so leaving this opening. So I've stitched it round, and this is the little opening that we left, which is about 1.5 inch. So the next thing you want to do now is to create a casing for the elastic cord. So the casing you are going to be creating, the width of the elastic will determine the casing you are going to be creating. So I'm using an 1/2 inch wide elastic cord. So I'll be creating a casing of maybe 1 inch, depending on what you want. So I'll be creating a casing of 1 inch for this. So I'll just mark 1 inch round. So if you are creating a casing of 1.5 inch, that is what you will mark round from this stitch line. So you will mark 1 inch, or whatever you are marking, you will mark it round like that. So you can mark it from the inside, just for you to be able to see what I'm doing. That is why I mark it from the outside. So you can mark it from the inside and sew it from the inside, whichever one you want. And then the length of the elastic cord, you will need to make your waist measurement round, and depending on how stretchy the elastic cord is. For instance, my waist measurement is 31 inches, and the length that I'm cutting now, because this is a bit stretchy, so I cut out 29 inches with the seam allowance. You are going to be taking away few inches, just few inches, maybe 1 or 2 inches away from your waist measurement to cut out the elastic cord. So next we're going to be stitching this round. So I'll go ahead and stitch it, this mark that we have. So I will stitch it round like this, and then I will show you the next thing. So I've stitched it round, and this is what it looks like. So this is what the inside looks like. So this is the opening that we have here, so you can see, and this is the upper part that I stitched. So once you've done that, then before we insert the elastic cord, we're going to be attaching the belt loop, or you can go ahead and insert your elastic cord and do the belt loop later, but I will be attaching the belt loop now. So I'll be cutting out 2.5 inches for the belt loop, and I will be cutting out 6 of these. So I cut out 6 belt loops, and then I will be marking where I will be attaching these belt loops. So around here, I want one to be here. So one will be here, one will be here, another one will be at the side, and then at the back I will have one here, maybe like 4 or 4.5 inches apart, and one here. Or you can also add another one here. So if you're adding another one here, that means we're going to be cutting out 7 belt loops. So now we have 7 belt loops, and then you go ahead and attach these belt loops. So you will attach it from the bottom or from the top. So place it like this, stitch it together, then you fold it back and stitch it together. So this is what your belt loops will look like. Okay guys, so I've stitched the belt loops round, as you can see it. So I have 3 at the back, 2 at the side, and 2 at the front. So now we're going to be inserting the elastic band through this opening that we left earlier. So we are going to be needing an office pin to do that. So you insert it. So we're going to stitch this end together. So I will just pin it down. So I'll pin it down with the office pin. So once you are done with the elastic band, then you turn it to the wrong side, and then we want to finish up the inseam area. So you place the two together, make sure the two matches together, and then you want to stitch it from this end through to this end. And once you are done doing that, then you go ahead and fold in the hem line with your seam allowance, and then you sew the hem line. So I'll go ahead and do this. And also for the belt, just make the belt as you want it, and then I will show you the final look. So guys, this is what we came up with. So just like I explained earlier, I went ahead to stitch this part together, and then I also stitched the hem line, as you can see it, and you can see how pretty it is. So this is the belt. So for the belt, I cut out my waist, I doubled my waist measurement and I added few inches to it. So depending on how long you want the belt to be, and for the width I cut out 3 inches. You know, I folded it and this is what I came up with. So this is what the back looks like, looking pretty. And we are done with the paper bag shorts. So guys, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I hope you find it helpful. If yes, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share this video with your friends and family, and if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, guys, kindly do so, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Till then, have a wonderful day. Bye.